Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the country. Mac.Rob acknowledges the traditional owners of the land where we meet, learn and teach, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge the deep feelings of attachment and relationship of Aboriginal people to country and are inspired by their connection to country, the land, the sea, the sky, the animals and the plants. We acknowledge sovereignty was never ceded and commit to building better relationships and greater understanding between our community and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders.
Welcome to our IB Information Night. Tonight we will be speaking about aspects of our IB program here at Mac.Rob. We will be highlighting what the program is, the program values and vision, along with future pathways. We will also guide you through our six-step processes to enrol into the IB program. Tonight we have a QR codes at the bottom of each slide, so if you have any questions, please utilise the code to answer our Google form. We hope you enjoy. We will now introduce Ms. Sue Harrap, Principal, to introduce us to the IB program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for making time to join us this afternoon. We love nothing more than talking about teaching and learning and the possibilities here at Mac.Rob. I'm just going to give you a very broad introduction to why we do the IB at Mac.Rob and a little bit about the program. So at Mac.Rob, we talk about developing the whole child, the whole student. And we talk about not only do we want them to have academic success, but we want them to have success in society, to have the social skills, the communication, the problem-solving skills, the ability to collaborate, to think big picture and to synthesise lots of information, to be critical thinkers. And all of the work that we do at Mac.Rob is to try and promote those types of learning dispositions, not only the academic ones, but those social and emotional learning dispositions. We're also all the time talking to our students about how to encourage breadth in your life and balance in your life. And while it's really, those messages are consistent from Year 9 through to Year 12, sometimes the pressures of Year 12 can make it challenging to have that balance and to focus on those, the breadth of those skills. The beauty about the IB is that all of those things are recognised in the program. So it fits beautifully with our philosophy as a school about what constitutes an excellent education, but also what constitutes an excellent life. And so one of the reasons we offer the IB Diploma program is because it encapsulates it all within that senior certificate. It's not an add-on or an extra to have those things in your life. It's all within the program. Another reason that we pursue the IB is that it's all about developing yourself as an independent learner, to be an inquirer into the world around you, to be curious. And those fundamental principles underpin the IB, and we're always trying to encourage that as well. We also know that in other schools, senior students get a choice about what certificate they do. In other schools, it's either the VCE or the vocational major, because it's appropriate for that range of certificates for them to pursue. At Mac.Rob, because our students are academically highly able, the vocational major is not really an appropriate certificate for them to have, and so up until the last few years, our senior students haven't had choice at the last 2 years of school. So we wanted to introduce another academically rigorous program to our students that would suit a certain type of learner and to give them choice to pursue something where they could excel that might be different to the VCE. And so the IB is internationally recognised, it's academically rigorous, and it is well regarded and sets young people up for their next step. Most of our students, 100% for as long as I can remember, of our students have gone on to tertiary pathways, and it sets them up very well for tertiary pathways, just like the VCE. And you'll hear a little bit more about that from Tarsha later on. Now I'm going to hand over to Mr. Crocket, Sam, for him to talk to you a little bit about the vision and values of the IB. But I hope you can now understand why as a school we've made the decision. It's about choice, but it's also about the holistic learning of young people and the holistic development of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue, and a warm welcome to everyone here tonight. I am really excited to be working in a school that has the IB because I've seen firsthand the impact that it has on our students. As well as being an assistant principal here for teaching and learning, I also facilitate the extended essay, which is a component of the IB, a 4,000 word thesis that each student will complete on a topic of their choice throughout the whole process. And as I've been working with these students, I've been inspired every single lesson that we've had together, just seeing the independence and the growth that they're bringing to everything that they do in the program. And so I'm really happy to talk about the IB mission statement because actually it really well aligns with what we do at Mac.Rob. So the IB is aiming to develop inquiring, knowledging and caring students. And you'll see that the Mac.Rob values are down the bottom of this slide. At Mac.Rob, we value community, growth, responsibility and compassion. And the challenging programs of the IB help us to actually activate and make sure that the learners that come out of this school represent our school values as well. At the heart of how the IB aims to enact this vision is through the learner profile. And the learner profile is central to all of the curriculum and the pedagogy, or the way of teaching, that happens in the IB. Just before we came in, I asked the Year 1 students what they've noticed different about studying IB this year in the first 5 weeks of term compared to their other experiences. And Sienna said that she's noticed that what they're learning is interconnected. And the way in which the IB curriculum achieves this interconnection is bringing everything back to these learner attributes. That no matter which subject you're studying, that students are demonstrating their abilities to be knowledgeable inquirers, thinkers, communicators, principled, open-minded, caring, risk-takers, balanced and reflective. And this is more than just a set of aspirations. Really, the learner profile is something that every subject will come back to and that gets directly assessed and monitored and students reflect on throughout their progress at the school. And when they leave at the end of Year 12, we know that our students will embody these characteristics more than when they came in. But it's also good to note, if you're tossing up whether or not the IB is right for you or if you prefer to be doing a VCE program, but these are the sorts of characteristics that make for a successful IB pathway. So if you're somebody who is happy to be reflective, who can take on feedback, be it positive feedback or maybe areas of growth, then the IB is for you. If you're somebody who appreciates balance and knows the importance of doing things like community and activity and service, as well as your academic studies, then the IB is going to be for you. If you're someone who comes to your education with an open mind and wanting a broad education, then the IB is a fantastic program for you. So I hope that you can see the alignment here between the vision, the values and the learner profile of the IB and our school's values down the bottom here. And I really recommend that as students consider the IB pathway, that they reflect on this IB learner profile and think about how well it marries with their own personality and learning style. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass over to Tarsha Mautone, our careers practitioner. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I have the pleasure of being the career practitioner here at Mac.Rob. So most students will know me through Year 10, through work experience and various other meetings that we've had in regard to careers. I'm going to touch firstly on how you might construct your course and how that might be a little bit different to VCE as well. However, many of these points are very much an overlap for both considerations. So when selecting your subjects, I'd encourage you, now these slides will be shared with you, so this is a link that you can click on. Go in and read about the subject briefs. In comparison, go in and read on the VCAR website the study designs. Compare your subjects. Really know what it is that that subject is offering you, what the assessment is, and what's most suitable for you as a learner. They are very different, though they may be titled the same. Read too about the difference between higher level versus standard level. Particularly in regard to maths, you're going to see that there are heavier components in each, i.e. are you really strong in calculus versus statistics? So really read into what each of those are before you are thinking about including them. Educate yourself about the specific entry requirements. That means visit the many resources that we share, but also visit universities to know what they are. These are termed as prerequisites. They're set here in Australia 2 years out from point of entry. So in year 10, as we get to subject selection at the end or start of subject selection at the end of term 2, you'll be shared some documentations on what those prerequisites are for every course in Victoria. It is key that those prerequisite studies are in your mix of course. Without them, you are not eligible for that course. So when you see it titled as a prerequisite, that means it's a requirement. It must be in your group of studies to be eligible for that course. Of course, they will always look at ATAR as well, but without those studies meeting the required level, you are not eligible. That term prereq is quite different from when you see it referred to as preferred or recommended. Preferred and recommended. Preferred may be that if you have it also in your mix, particularly overseas, it's a preferred studies, you may be higher up in the list to get that offer than someone who doesn't. If it's a recommended study, and normally you see this a lot through New South Wales universities, it's a foundation study for you. You would be well suited to have it in your mix to prepare you for university. So always consider your prereqs, your preferred and your recommended. Particularly as we talked about with maths, make sure that you know those differences. There is a document that will be shared with you called our future course directions. You'll see in there, I've given you a breakdown for different study fields, i.e. medicine to commerce to law, what a course should look like or would look like in combining your prereqs versus VCE versus IB. So please look at that document as it's shared afterwards. It's a really valuable source for knowing for you what your different courses would look like and comparing those. I know I had my children go through this decision as well, and we actually put it up on the wall at home so that everyone viewed that around the house, the version of VCE versus IB. And let me assure you, there definitely is something that resonates with you as you walk past it each time, and you'll know then which one. And it also draws a conversation at home as well about why these things are in your course. As you come to your course selection guidance, do speak with me, do attend open days. We'll be having a career expo here in May next term. So please come along, families are invited, all universities key to Victoria and around Australia will be here. And that will be a really good opportunity to ask about prerequisites, recommended studies, really important. Also, some of these universities will give you bonuses for having done IB, so really good times to have these conversations. Do visit the student portal when it comes to the future course directions document. And the IBO website is starting to develop some really good course guides for countries around the world. Currently they have, I think it's Hong Kong and Canada, but they are hoping to build on that over this year. So they're a really good guidance, but of course you can always speak to me and I'll be able to guide you on internationals. We're well versed here in that. When you are considering your higher level studies, always think, where is your strength? It is pitched higher. It's starting to enter into year 1 at university, the higher level. So you do want it to be something you enjoy and something that you're strong at to do well at it. Always identify your list of 4 higher levels initially and 2 standard levels, with removal of one of the higher levels as you progress through. University applications. IB is recognised as equally as VCE here in Australia, and vice versa around the world. IB is very renowned and so is VCE. So whichever you should take, they are absolutely leave you open to every option. Australian universities consider what we call the notional ATAR through IB or the ATAR through VCE and prerequisite studies. There are generally preset scores for your prereq studies. Internationally, they will look at not an ATAR because that is a ranking for Australian universities, but they will look at the IB score out of 45 and all prerequisites. You'll hear terminologies when you look at areas like the UK and Ireland where there's A levels. They are particular studies that they expect you to be sitting A+. That means in IB, 48. Sorry, I'm going to VCE here. A 43 plus is what they would be expecting. With VCE and IB, you apply through VTAC here in Victoria, and it's exactly the same process. So there is no difference. There is no disadvantage or advantage in taking either. You'll note that we often talk about IB results coming out a little bit later. We're seeing this year that they'll actually come out only a few days later in December, and we're really hopeful after a discussion last night with VTAC that they will be able to accommodate IB in first round offers in December on Christmas Eve. So we'll wait and see that, but otherwise, where it has taken place in January, they're not at all disadvantaged. Every university holds places for IB in every single course, so don't worry about the timelines. As I said, the guides are being developed, and you will see that many universities, and this listing is shared as we get towards end of year, are now starting to offer the credit and bonus schemes. So those taking IB are always shared what they are, so that if they are considering those particular universities, it might be a plan B, but it's really nice to know that they've got an application in. So career ready, IB certainly does make you so. Particularly when it comes to entering year one at university. It is always commented upon when I'm visiting the universities how IB students stand out, especially where they've taken higher level studies in those particular study domains. The transferable skills they have, the critical thinking, the open-mindedness, the creativity that they bring to the collaborations at university are far above and beyond those of a BCE student. The dropout rates we're seeing at university are quite high at the minute, and so I would always say if you go in ready and prepared, the more you are, the more inclined we are to see students remain at university. And a lot of that is around how you feel, how comfortable you are with your studies when you get there. So do take that into consideration. Very internationally minded, recognised around the world. They do, however, know around the world how to assess all certifications, but IB is very much a standout in this part, particularly around Ireland and UK regions. Thank you. Certainly you can email me, and I'm sure that we'll be sharing contact details after if you have any questions. Thank you. Mr. Sawaki will join us now.
Thank you, Tarsha. Tarsha and I actually share the same little thing. It's not secret, but both of our child is undergoing IB. My child is actually undergoing IB in this school as well. So we know from the students' perspective as well, not only from teachers' perspective. My name is Shungo Sawaki, and I have the pleasure of initiating IB pathway almost 6 years ago at Mac.Rob. And many of you already know that we have a very fast graduate of IBDP at Mac.Rob last year. And we have achieved a fantastic results. This achievement was recognized at the IB Awards ceremony on the 6th of February. So just to paint some of the results, 36% of the cohort received over 40 out of 45. So we do know that we can achieve as fantastic result as much as VC students. So just a little bit about the IB overview. IB diploma is complete over 2 years. So it is not possible to, like ordering a pizza, half the barbecue chicken and half marinara. You can't do the VC and the IB in switching in and out. So once you enroll in IB, you will be eating IB pizza for 2 years at Mac.Rob. And year 10 students will be enrolling the IB diploma year before, which is end of this year. And obviously, I will go through later on how to take those 6 steps to enroll into the IB course. As Tarsha described, the students are enrolling 6 subjects and 3 core subjects. And subjects are offered at both high level and the standard level. So let's look into the IB curriculum. The core subject first. These include extended essays, theory of knowledge, and creativity activity service CAS. These core elements not only enhance critical thinking and research skills, but also instill a commitment to community service. It's a unique opportunity for students to develop leadership skills, setting IB apart from other traditional programs like VCE. It's important for you to notice that IB recognizes those skills developed outside the classroom, whereas VCE doesn't. So let's dive into the CAS, Creativity Activity Service. The CAS takes us beyond the classroom into the world beyond just academics. CAS provides students with opportunity for personal development, skill building, collaboration, and engagement with global issues. Students embark on CAS experiences, identifying strengths, developing new skills, demonstrating commitment and perseverance. For the EE, Extended Essays, EE is cornerstone of IB program. This students-led investigation spans around 18 months, allowing students to develop deep into the subject of their choice. The 4,000 word limit provides an opportunity for advanced research and exploration, a passion for learning, and extensive understanding of chosen topic. Talk, theory of knowledge, a distinct aspect of IB education. Through essays and exhibitions, students question the world around them, exploring a foundation of knowledge. Talk can be challenging, yet highly rewarding, as the students investigate themes like indigenous society, technology, and histories. Into the group subject. So explore the subject group into the 6 categories, from language and literature to the arts. The diverse range of subjects encourage intellectual curiosity and critical thinking. This flexibility allows students to tailor their education to their interests and aspirations. While students must choose subjects from each group, you have an option to drop group 6 subjects, as allowed by the IBO, enabling students to select possibly 2 sciences, or 2 languages, or 2 humanities if you wish. However, for the practical reason, English math subjects are not possible at Mac.Rob. Also, students need to select the 3 high-level subjects out of those 6. It's worth noting that high-level subject is a university enhancement, giving students access to 3 university-level subjects, unlike BC subjects, who typically have access to only 1 university enhancement, if you're lucky. In IB, this is the way we accelerate highly able students. For all Year 2 students here, the question is IB or not IB. So let's highlight the crucial distinction between VCE and IB that may influence your choice. In VCE, your academic outcome is decided by ranking within the cohort. If you can think about the tennis ranking, where reaching the top positions can be very challenging with strong competitors. Imagine if Djokovic and Nadal's in your class. You never can get top marks. However, in IB, takes a unique approach. Unlike BCE, it doesn't hinge on ranking. So if you meet the required standards, every student holds the potential to achieve gold medal. Emphasizing individual students' accomplishment. So in IB, it's not a competition or limited top spots. It's about meeting standards and attaining personal excellences. Keep this in mind as you navigate your IB pathway. Just to illustrate what does that mean in IB achievement, 50% of class in French ab initio last year scored a perfect 7, which is equivalent of row 50. 50% of class. 33% of the class received perfect 7 in psychology. 30% of the class received perfect 7 in history. This is quite different from BC subject. IBDP nurtures the learning, celebrate the core curricular activities, and encourage extended writing. Enjoy well-established recognition and employ diverse teaching methods compared to the traditional program like a VCE. So while the IB program offers unique opportunities, it also presents some challenges. Students might encounter limited language options, a self-driven learning approach, a distinct learning style, essay-style assignment, and additional core subject. It's important to understand these challenges as a part of holistic IB journey. Students appreciate the collaborative environment, self-regulated and independent classes, interesting and engaging content, learning for the sake of learning, and breadth of subject, and strong emphasis on balance. Later, you'll hear the chance to hear directly from our students about how these aspects manifest in their daily classes. So let's explore what kind of students who thrive in the IB program at Mac.Rob. These students are self-motivated, capable of managing their time effectively, comfortable with open-ended tasks, stimulated by challenges, and invest in personal growth. If these qualities resonate with you, you might find the IB program to be perfect fit. So we have broken down the 6 steps how to enroll the IB at Mac.Rob. You are actually step 2. We look at the portals and exploring what IB subjects are offering, attend the IB information night. We also need to book, later on, we'll have opportunity to talk to the IB champions. We're then going to ask you to complete expression of interest. Obviously, that's not a commitment, but that is initial expression of interest. All of these are captured in the little postcards, so you have all those details with a QR code. We then later on meet with IB teachers one by one, or IB teachers will meet the students and obviously go through about subject selection and selecting for appropriate for high level and to standard level for each subject. Then we're gonna finalize the enrollment later in July, and that's exactly the same timeline for the BC and IB. I'm now going to invite the year 1 fantastic students. So one of the reasons you probably can feel today is a student-driven events. So these students will come to you and explain to you about what they find interesting, their challenges, and why they choose IB. So I'm going to hand over to trusting those year 1 students.
So I'm Soleil and this is Pragna, and we're going to talk to you about why we chose IB. So both of us find we're like a lot more, we just find IB is a more, like the learning style compared to BC, it's more individual and it forces you to think critically with like a global perspective.
I think another reason I chose IB is high-level subjects allow us to like really enrich our learning and learn more about subjects and investigate more as well.
Yeah, there's big investigation components. So instead of just like writing an essay, you have to think of the question for your essay, then research it, and then can finally construct it.
Yeah, I think another big thing is also the collaborative nature of IB. Like we've all like bonded really well as a class, which is great. Our class sizes are small, they're fun, and we get a lot of one-on-one time with teachers as well.
Yeah, and that's just a component about Mac.Rob. So if you're feeling like it's hard to choose IB because there's so little people who do it now, it can actually be a massive bonus.
Yeah, I think another big thing was scaling. I think I speak for a lot of us when we say that scaling was a big factor, which happens in BC, but it doesn't happen in IB. So that's a big reason why a lot of us chose IB. So all our subjects amount to the same. We don't have to think about scaling when we're choosing subjects. We can just follow our passions. And with our subjects, we can also get a more holistic thing since we're forced to choose one from each group.
Yeah.
So my name is Jenny and this is Jocelyn, and we'll be talking to you about the components of the learning profile. So this one of the learning profile is inquiries. So the aim of the components of IB program is actually encourage us to delve deeper and inquire the knowledge we seek. And the second one is knowledgeable. So this learning provides students subjects across a range of disciplines. It enables us to develop and apply our conceptual understanding of different topics and to engage with issues or ideas that have both local and global significance. And the third one is thinkers. So in IB, you get a lot of opportunities to use your creative and critical thinking skills to analyze and take responsible actions on solving different problems. And the fourth one is communicators. So you are communicating yourself, you are expressing yourself confidently and creatively in more than one language and in different ways. And the fifth one, principle. You are ensuring that you are always acting with integrity and honesty with a strong sense of fairness and justice. The sixth one is open-minded, so you are willing to consider different perspectives, even if they differ from your own opinions. So you're always being curious and not restricting yourself to a single point. Then the next one is caring. So you're showing empathy and respect towards people around you, and you are also caring about global issues and willing to take action to address them.
So another one is risk takers. So your readiness to approach unfamiliar situations or uncertainties. It is often important when studying different subjects, especially languages, where you need to push yourself to develop your skills. The ninth one is balanced. So IB is more structured in a more balanced way compared to VCE, which encourages you to maintain your hobbies and not sacrifice your well-being solely for academic performance. And the last one is being reflective. So being actively involved in learning with and thinking critically about the knowledge you receive rather than passively absorbing it. Taking the initiative to reflect on your learning. As a holistic program, the IB has incorporated these aspects into its core to develop students to be internationally minded, responsible, active, and engaged members of communities, from local to global, and to be able to contribute meaningfully to them. All of this beyond academic success. You'll find that you'll apply all of these attributes in just about all of your classes. For example, to take risks in your language classes by asking questions, answering questions, or speaking in the language. Being open-minded, thinkers and inquiring in top class, and to the perspectives of your classmates in discussions in general. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly and I'm Shania, and we will be talking about our favorite things or positive aspects of the IB that we like. So for me, one aspect of IB that I really like is that it's internationally recognized. So it is much more suitable for applying to overseas universities as opposed to VCE. And I really like this because studying overseas is something that I am interested in doing. And I think this opens up my opportunities and it will widen my experience as well. However, my favorite thing about IB is that I really like how you don't just focus on your academic performance, which is shown through the CAS core subjects where you do physical creativity and service. And I really like this because I think a lot of us can also relate that we have other extracurricular activities that we like to do, like sport. For example, I have tennis trainings, and I think if I were to do VC, I would have to drop a few lessons every week, but I'm able to continue that with IB. And I think that also helps me balance my schoolwork and personal life better, and yeah.
What I'm going to talk about is IB is more interconnected in my own experience because, for example, our top classes relate to almost every single one of our classes. So I'm constantly relating it back to my other subjects. So for example, in our chem class the other day, we're learning about the Bohr model and the Schrödinger model, and that just relates back to our last lesson on top when we learned about perspective. So it just allows us to continually connect to different subjects, even while we're, say, in our maths class, we're still connecting it back to maybe our psych class or something else. And also I really like how the small classes as well, because it's more collaborative and we're able to, it's more engaging. Well, personally for me, I also think I'm more able to concentrate as well. I don't know if it applies to any of you either, but I'm more able to concentrate and I just feel more engaged in class.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Jenny.
And we're going to be talking about some potential challenges of the IB diploma and how we've overcome them or how we would overcome them.
Yeah, so there's less people, so if you don't get on well with them, then that would be bad.
but luckily,
We get along great.
we get along great with our class, and all the previous years that we've spoken to get along really well with their class. Because if you're, together 6 hours a day with the same people, then you form bonds that you wouldn't otherwise form with like casual acquaintances in all your different classes. So it's like, it could be a challenge, but it's a positive.
Another challenge might be that CAS requires more hours outside the class, but like the IB has like lowered, would you say, their requirements. It used to be 150 hours in total, but now it's just doing CAS on a regular basis.
Yep. And so that kind of comes back to managing your time and like thinking about when you can get this done and balancing that with assessment times. Another issue that we're facing kind of at the moment is picking which standard levels and higher levels you're doing, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit more detail later. But it's kind of, you look at yourself and your own strengths and then which subjects you're willing to put the most amount of time into, and that can definitely help you to pick which ones you want to pursue further and which ones you want to do at more of a core level.
A timetabling challenge would be less free periods. This is a bit annoying, but like the timetabling balances quite well. So you have more late starts and early finishes rather than random blocks in the middle. Freeze will free up after like you finish off your content. So for example, for Chem SL, most of the content is taught in the first year, with the HR classes being taught in the second. So that frees up a lot of space for the Chem SL students to like revise in the second year and dedicate. Yeah.
Yeah, and for a subject like CAS, we'll have one block a week or one block a fortnight for CAS. But if we don't need the full time, or we only need like a 10-minute check-in, for example, then you'll get the rest of that as a free. So even if your timetable says you've got, not that many frees, it's kind of a year 10 level. So if any of you know what your timetables are like at the moment, a little bit more than that. But a lot of those are subjects that you don't need to go to, so you'll just get kind of bonus frees, which are quite nice.
A big one is workload and like balancing academics with other aspects of your life over the course of the 2 years. This also goes for BCE and just senior school in general. But IB encourages you to be an all-rounded person, but like it can be difficult in reality with keeping up with all the subject content, revising and like preparing for tests. And the assessments can all like hit you at once.
But yeah, that's definitely the same with BCE. I know a lot of my BCE friends are struggling with like all the SACs at once, but it's just a thing. But another one is which is a bit of a jump from kind of the standard content, and especially for BCE to IB, is that it's a lot more kind of your choice. For example, for our history IAs, which we're working on at the moment, you're not just, which is a essay that you write, but it's not just about a topic that you're given, as in you pick your topic and then you design your own research question. And so while that makes it way broader and you can kind of feel like you've got no idea where to start, it also means that once you do settle on a topic, you've got something that you're really passionate about and you're really interested in, that you don't mind like putting in the hours researching and writing, etc.
But like if you do feel like very overwhelmed or stressed, like one big tip is like don't be afraid and just like speak to your teachers about it. Like they'll definitely help you guide you through it. Overall, IB is a challenging and vigorous 2-year program, but it will be rewarding in the end, so just buckle up for the ride and embrace the challenge.
Next, me, Maggie, and Rithi are going to speak about the core components of IB. So I'm sure you've already heard before that the core components are TOC, CAS, and EE, and they're mandatory for all students, and it is a really big part of the IB. So Maggie, would you like to start with theory of knowledge?
So EE. So I'll be talking about extended essay. So extended essay is like an individual research task that you get to pick any subject of your interest. It is around 4,000 words long, but it does help you develop a lot of skills that you will be using in universities and later on in life. And it like really helps you prepare for future. And although it is an individual research task, you do have your teachers to support you, and you also will be assigned supervisors from the school, and they'll all help you to guide you through your extended essays and make sure that you are on track, because it is something that you complete over the course of 2 years. And although 4,000 words sounds a bit daunting, at least, it sounds scary to me. But since it is like you get to pick what you are interested about and what you want to write about, so it's actually very fun while you write, and 4,000 words can be easily achieved according to the older grades. But hopefully,
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You'll probably find that you need to cut it back.
yeah.
My name is Rithi. I'll be talking about TOC, which is theory of knowledge. So TOC is like a really central part of IB because it kind of links all of your subjects. We talk about like the theory of knowledge because that's the name of the subject. So we talk about like how we learn knowledge and how we know that what we know is true and like certainty and things like that. And it gets really like profound. And I find that it's a really nice class because since our cohort is so small, we can be really collaborative and talk about like deep philosophical questions and stuff, which we can also link to our other subjects. And I think it's just a really good way to integrate learning about our learning into our learning. So yeah, and the assessments are just, there's an exhibition where you'll talk about a research question and have some objects to give examples. And that's really nice because it's really collaborative and interactive. And with that one, we also learned some key study skills, like we learned how to write an essay as well, because that's another assessment. And we also address like the same framework each time of perspective, scope, ethics, and then methods and tools. So we just learn a lot about how we learn, why we learn, and it's just a really interesting subject that I find is one of like the main pros about IB.
Yeah. And finally, creativity, activity, and service. So like Sawaki Sensei said before, CAS is an opportunity to earn credit for extracurricular activities outside of your academic work. And you'll find that a lot of this may sound daunting, like you have all this extra stuff to do outside of school, but it really integrates nicely into your life and integrates kind of like school and life balance. So you get to choose a number of CAS experiences that you will do over an 18-month period that will fulfill the criteria for creativity, activity, and service. CAS also entails a collaborative project that lasts for at least 1 month and also focuses on the CAS learning outcomes, which will also be present throughout all of your experiences. And unlike other subjects in IB, you don't really get a grade for CAS, but you just need to be consistent with your experiences and making sure that like it's something that you're dedicated to throughout the experience. Yeah, and the restrictions used to be pretty daunting with like 150 hours, but they've become a lot looser and much more easier to integrate into life. Yeah.
Sienna
Yes.
is doing this tonight. Do you get any CAS hours for this?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a great service hour.
It's a double benefit. You get to be a communicator
Yeah.
and
This is
you
some
get
good
to do your CAS.
global engagement.
And finally, Sienna and I are going to talk about SLs and HLs, so standard levels and high levels, which I'm sure you've heard quite a bit about, but they can be a little bit confusing. So we'll just do a rundown on what those are.
Yeah, so standard level is, so for each subject you have, except for core, you have standard level and higher level. And standard level has the standard level of content and assessments, but higher level has like a lot of overlap with standard level, but there's some extension content and it goes into a bit like university level. And then also there are some extra like assessments.
The one thing to be aware of is that Mac.Rob, there are certain subjects that we don't offer as a high level. So for example, we all do French. But if you do French at a high level, that's kind of, you speak it at home, you're fluent in it, and you do like textual studies in French, which none of us are quite up to, but we do the standard level, which definitely gets you to the same or above level of VCE French.
Yeah.
And then AA Maths, which is probably the maths that's more equivalent to methods. They don't offer that as a high level because that's getting into university level maths, which is a kind of workload that's not sustainable if you're also trying to balance all your other subjects and CAS, etc.
Yeah, and so when when you first go into IB, in like Kickstart and stuff, you'll pick 4 higher levels for your subjects that you want to do. And this will just give you a bit of experience with what those are like. And then you'll find that some of the higher levels are a bit unequal with the other higher levels. For example, like theatre is only one extra little project that you do, an assessment that you do, whereas other subjects like Chem higher level goes into way deeper content and like more extreme stuff.
Yeah. So Chem High Level is almost another year of chemistry on top of your standard level, which if you love chem is the type of thing you can dive right into and really, you know, have an amazing experience of it. But if it's not something that you're willing to put the hours into, then it will be more sustainable to pick a high level that you are passionate about.
Yeah, and after like a bit early into your first year, you get to pick if you want to drop any of your subjects down to SL. So there's a bit of room to move, and so it's not really, you shouldn't be too daunted by this process, because you'll find that if the subjects that you really like, you'll find that like doing HL is pretty natural.
Yeah. And don't commit too hard to what you want your high levels to be in Kickstart. Go into the term with, you know, open-minded, IB learner profile. Go into it and kind of try them out without saying, oh, this is the one I'm going to drop 100%. Think about it, really put some thought into it, and you're not set. You've got a whole term to change your mind and find which one works for you, so you shouldn't feel rushed into a decision.
Yeah, and also your teachers are always there for you. They will be a big support, and they can definitely help you figure out what journey you want to go on.
What about the last stop point?
Yeah. Definitely. Join IB. It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad I chose IB, but I feel like it all comes down to your personal preferences and what you want to gain out of your learning. I've had a lot of students that chose VCU over IB like want to choose a path that they want to go into and stick to it. So it really just comes down to what you want to get out of your learning, what you're what you want to do after school. So yeah, but I'm glad I chose IB.
If you're looking at your VCE subjects and they're pretty similar to what you could do in the IB, pick the IB. That's my completely unbiased advice.
And just like adding on to that, also if you're not sure what you want to do in like universities, it's also really helpful if you do the IB. For example, if you're like really into math or like you're really into like the humanities, maybe you can go to VCE and can pick lots of that. But if you're not sure what you want to do, picking the IB gives you, because it forces you to be a holistic person. So it not only allows you to have more international university opportunities, but also more courses that you can pick if you're not sure right now, which I know a lot of people aren't sure, especially even us when we're in year 9, year 10. But yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah, and also I think like if you want to get the most out of your learning, IB is a great way to do that, because you're not just narrowed into your specific subjects. You go beyond that. Like even like you might like learn stuff that you don't think is relevant, but like it all is really holistic and comes together well. And it makes you like a great person.
Yeah. And you learn great uni skills. Like my older sister did VCE and now she's at uni and had to like learn how to reference. Whereas we have a whole class that's dedicated to basically EE. First term, that's just learning how to reference, which is cool.
It's really like, it's a really reflective subject as well, which I think is very important to note. Basically all of our subjects involve some kind of reflective journaling or maybe like a reflective paragraph if we had an assessment. And it's just like really helps you keep track of your growth and your improvement. So if you're invested in like tracking and seeing that improvement in yourself, I think it's a really great subject, and it just offers that part of reflection that VC doesn't. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So we will now invite Mr. Sawaki and Ms. Crocket for some final questions.
Yeah, so we have spent around 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. If anybody have any questions for us or for students to answer any specific questions.
If Mac.Rob doesn't offer the specific IB subjects I'd like to take, is there any opportunity to supplement your IB course with external sources?
At the moment, the answer is no. We have just begun this journey, and we want to make sure that quality courses is established. Once we establish and pick up the numbers, we probably will be in a prime position to offer different subjects and so forth. So we are at the moment transition stage and initiating this. Teachers are furiously taking workshop and developing resources, the room allocation, and the balance between VC and so forth. So we are not, obviously Ms. Harrap will be able to elaborate on a little bit more, but we are not in position to offer expanding different subjects at this stage. But we did make a tweak about offering, this is once again, student agency is quite big in IB. So after hearing from last year's student wishing to take IB music, and also celebrating a group 6 subject, we have offered the music. Obviously didn't run for this year, but we are offering the music for group 6 subject because we have the human resources and other capacity to offer those music. And also, we have initiated the first 2 years of the IB cohort. Again, because we wanted to have a tightly quality control, we have basically celebrated the IB philosophy and asking every student to take one from each group. After consultation with the students and also prerequisite from other university, we have opened up the group 6 restriction, which means the students now are able to not choosing group 6 subject, naming visual arts and theater, but that can be replaced by the humanities subject or the language subject or science subject. So most popular one is probably science, biology, chemistry combination.
I think also, if I can jump in there, at the moment we can't match up our timetable with another school, so we can't combine with another school to, say, offer a subject that they offer to you. So logistically it's really challenging, and the quality of the very limited online options that there are is not at the standard that we would want to deliver to our students, and so we don't want to limit our students' capacity to do well by offering them something substandard. So at the moment we can guarantee you a quality experience here, and we can't do that beyond here, so that's why that's not really an option.
Who's next?
No, we do have a French B, which is a standard, and Japanese. And those we do Indonesian, German. For that reason, we offer French ab initio, which means the students are studying French from the beginning at the year 11.
So we have French and Japanese, but if you've already been studying if you've already been studying German or Indonesian in year 9 and 10, you would go into the French beginners, which is specifically designed and assessed at a beginner's level for the 2 years of the study.
Yeah.
And our graduating cohort in ab initio last year did incredibly well.
Half the cohort getting perfect raw score 50 in the VC term, perfect score 7.